I received a comment on my YouTube channel from Eden asking if I would do a tutorial on the Father Brown TV theme that I posted some years back. At first I didn't think there would be enough interest to warrant a tutorial. However, I took a closer look and found some interesting bass movements that puts the harmony into interesting voicings and felt it was worthwhile examining. So Eden, thank you for your suggestion. I've chosen G minor to do the song in, and G minor has two flats, a B flat and an E flat. Now I'm playing that diatonically, in other words I'm using pure minor because that's basically what it's written in. Let's examine the chords. Well, the G minor is the 1 chord, C minor is the 4 chord, D7 is the 5 chord, and there'll be times we'll be putting the flat 9, the E flat in there. The 6 chord, E flat major, and the 7 chord, major. The structure of the song is basically on 3 short little venues strung together with a 2-bar introduction and a coda tagging on the end. So let's look at the introduction. Quite simple, it's just in G minor, and I'll count it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and into the song. Now the composer, Debbie Wiseman, uses a very standard chord progression that's been used in minor a lot, going from a 1 chord, the G minor in this case, to an F major chord, down to the E flat chord, and on to the 5 chord D7. And way back in the 50s, a song called Walk Don't Run by the Ventures used exactly that chord progression. You get the idea. However, that chord progression doesn't even come across that way with our composer. So let's get right into the actual first segment. Starts off on G minor. There's my pickup notes, and here we go. Moves into first inversion. B flat at the bottom to a first inversion of the 7 chord F. Onto the second inversion of E flat major. To a second inversion of the 5 chord D7, jumping down to the root of the 5 chord D, and that's the first segment. So I'm going to play that through in context. I'll be playing it rather at a slow tempo, because if I played at the regular tempo you wouldn't be able to follow the chord symbols which are going to place up here. They'd be going by too quickly. We'll just take our time and look at the chord symbols and put it together. So that's the first segment. The next segment, second one, moves into C minor. Only our composer, Miss Wiseman, puts the C minor into a first inversion with the E flat at the bottom. Here we are on the 5 chord. And leading into the second section, C minor, back to G minor, down to this F sharp, the first inversion of D7. And here's where we pick up our first flat 9 on that dominant D7 chord. There's my 5th by 7, my flat 9, and the F sharp represents the 3rd. Jumps up, and then echoes, and that's the end of the second segment. So let's listen to that in context. And now the last segment. Starts off on G minor, root position. first inversion of the 5 chord. I'm just using some filler there. And we're cutting down. Now back into G minor, but in a first inversion. And into a C sharp diminished over a G flat. And the reason for that is it allows me this leading tone into the tonic note of the D7 chord. And then Debbie Wiseman uses a little riff here based on a D7 flat 9 chord. There's my root up to the flat 9, down to the 7 and back up. And then she goes through second inversion down to root and just an echo. Coming up to the leading tone and my pickup note, the A. And that's going to lead us into what is going to turn out to be the coda. So let's listen to that last segment in context at a nice slow tempo. And into the coda. All right, let's listen to the coda. Well, it starts off exactly the same way as the beginning. G minor. First inversion of G minor. First inversion of the 7 chord F. Second inversion of the 6 chord E flat. And on to the 5 chord with a and then just the minor third onto the tonic. A low D bass, our little riff here, the leading tone, and right into G minor. I looked up some sheet music on this song and a few examples of the song written in major. And I thought that was a little odd since it's definitely in minor. And then of course I looked at the last chord and they ended the song on a major chord. In other words, instead of doing what I did, they went onto a major chord. So I guess their thinking was, well, if the song ends on a major chord, it must be major. That's not the case. Often enough in minor, you will get the final chord as a major chord. And I'll give you a little example in C minor. This is coming from a 6 chord. C minor, 4, and this is the way it would normally end on a minor chord. But there are cases where the composer wants to end on something more solid and brighter. Ending on a major version of the 1 chord. This is referred to as tierce de piquete. So the whole song could be in minor, but the very final chord is major. It's used a lot. Well, I think that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed my tutorial on the Father Brown theme and picked up some insight into minor. Thank you again, Eden, for your suggestion. Please take a moment to subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, keep well, keep safe, be happy, and bye for now.